Hi everyone and welcome to our assembly. I hope you've all had a really good break, and I hope some of you haven't had to spend too much time in isolation. I know there's quite a few people that will have done, me included. So I hope you've still managed to have a really good break. So we've got a new theme for the week for the term, and we're looking at compassion. So what is compassion? Well, it's about showing kindness and consideration to help others, especially when they're upset, and having sort of genuine feelings for other people's struggle and what they might be going through, and then doing something to help them. Sometimes the only way that we know what they're going through is to try and see it from their point of view. Sometimes we may even hear people say about walking in other people's shoes. So what does that mean? Well, I've got a pair of shoes here. Nice pair of boots. These are actually Jamie's, so they're not mine, and she does like very glitzy boots. She has quite a few pairs of these. But does that mean we physically walk in their shoes? We put their shoes on to see? No, what it's actually meaning is that we try and take their place, to try and understand what it feels like for them, why they might be struggling. So I've got a way that might try and help us to understand that. Let's imagine you have a new girl who's started at the school and it's her first day. She's come from a different part of the country and doesn't know anybody here. She looks very serious and has hardly smiled all day. It's break time and she's sat all by herself. So let's step into her shoes. How do you imagine she feels? Now, I'm going to do something that might work, might not, but I want to give it a go. I'd like you to put your hand up and tell your teacher, what do you think she might feel like? Hopefully you've had a few answers. It's a bit awkward doing it like this because normally it's quite nice because I quite happily, get answers from you, but obviously not being there, it's a bit difficult. So we're going to try it this way and see if it works. Now, some of the ideas that I came up, I thought she might be nervous or scared. Maybe she's missing her old friends. Perhaps she's worried about what the rest of the class might think of her. And maybe she's hoping that she could make some new friends. So how can we help her? How can we show compassion? Maybe we could introduce ourselves. Talk to her. Ask her how her first day is going. Is there any help that she needs? Can she find everywhere she needs to go? Maybe invite her to play with you, or maybe introduce her to your other friends. Walking in someone else's shoes. How about this one? There's a boy in the class who's finding it really difficult with spelling tests. Every week in the test, he hardly gets anything right. He's good at some other subjects, so he's really good at maths and very good at PE, but never does very well with spellings. And now some other children have begun to make fun of him because of his test results. So let's step into his shoes. How do you imagine he feels? Again, I'd like you to put up your hands. I'll give you a couple of seconds just to be able to give your teacher some ideas. So put your hands up now if you've got any ideas of how he may be feeling. So I don't know if any of you have got any of these, which I came up with. I thought he might be disappointed. He might be feeling hopeless. He may be really upset that people are saying unkind things. Maybe even feeling like giving up. So, how can we show compassion? How can we help him? Maybe we could talk to him. Talk to him about the things he's good at. Maybe talk to him about the maths question that you got wrong, or maybe how good he was on the football pitch. Try to motivate him to keep going and not giving up. Maybe speak to those children that are making fun of him and saying, you know, it's not very nice. And actually, maybe you could do something like even practicing your spellings together. Bit by bit, you see things from other people's point of view. Those comments that might be hurtful, you can actually see why they're hurting and what's upsetting them. I want to tell you a quick story from the Bible. It's a time when Jesus wanted to get some rest. He'd been preaching all day for days, talking to people, and he was really tired. So he decided that he was going to go out onto the lake with the disciples in the boat. But just as they were reaching the other side, he saw crowds of people waiting for him to heal them and to tell him stories. Now, do you think Jesus turned away? No, he realised that people needed him, so he got out of the boat. You see, Jesus never turned his back on anyone who needed him. And he doesn't now. He would even help people with the really big problems. It might not have been their fault that they were in that mess, but he still helped them. If people asked him for help, he always gave it to them. And the feeling that made him do this was the word compassion. Compassion was the way he could put himself into their shoes and imagine what it was like to be them. Compassion made him imagine how he would like to be treated if he was in their place. Christians believe Jesus wanted us to show compassion for people around us and to treat them as we would be treated ourselves. Now, sometimes it isn't safe to go near strangers in town, or especially when we're out on our own. But how about people in your school? Maybe you can try hard to feel what it's like to be in their shoes. Perhaps that will change the way we behave towards them. So I'm going to leave you with 2 questions. Maybe you would like to discuss these with your teachers afterwards, or even talk to your friends about it during the breaks. But my first question to you is, how can you show compassion at school? Whether it's in the classroom, or during the lunch break, or even while waiting to go home. And my second question to you is, how can we show compassion out of school? Whether that's at home, or in the local community, or even in the wider world. To be able to look at others and walk in their shoes. I'm not going to finish with a prayer, but with a song prayer, a bit like we've done before, and it is one that we have done before, but the words are absolutely perfect. Jesus will always be there if we need him, but we should also always be there for others if they need us. We need to look out for those around us and walk in their shoes to understand what we can do to help them. So I'm going to say goodbye, and I'm going to play the piece of music with some images. And as we watch this, just maybe think of the words and think about how we can help others and show them love and show them compassion. So let us pray.
Have you ever felt like nobody was there? Have you ever felt forgotten in the middle of nowhere? Have you ever felt like you could disappear? Like you could fall and no one would hear? Well, let that lonely feeling wash away, 'cause maybe there's a reason to believe you'll be okay. 'Cause when you don't feel strong enough to stand, you can reach out your hand, and oh, someone will come running, and I know they'll take you home. Even when the dark comes crashing through, when you need a friend to carry you, and when you're broken on the ground, you will be found. So let the sun come streaming in, 'cause you'll reach up and you'll rise again. Lift your head and look around, you will be found. 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 There's a place where we don't have to feel unknown, and every time that you call out, you're a little less alone. If you only say the word, from across the silence, your voice is heard. Even when the dark comes crashing through, when you need a friend to carry you, and when you're broken on the ground, you will be found. So let the sun come streaming in, 'cause you reach up and you rise again. If you only look around,